More than 100 Labour MPs are trying to block the government's planned changes to the benefit system in an attempt to save us all £5 billion. The government's proposed making it harder for disabled people with less severe conditions, their terms, not mine, to claim personal independence payments, a move that charities say will make thousands of disabled people poorer. There'll also be a freeze to people who currently claim the health element of universal credit until 2029. It'll be frozen. We're being told we need to save money somewhere. Dawn, it seems there's money for defence, for the NHS, but there isn't money for people who need to get to work. And that's what PIP is. It's a levelling out payment that helps people to get to work. That doesn't feel right.
Terrible. I can't believe we have a Labour government. My dad was a union rep. I can't believe we have a Labour government that came in promising change, promising to do things better, promising to make all our lives better. Labour traditionally worked for working people. They kept telling us they were for the working people, for the most vulnerable. And instantly they just threw disabled people, pensioners under the bus. I think it's appalling what they're doing. Money has to come from somewhere, but there has to be better ways than doing it than this.
Winter fuel, Kevin, we saw a row back on that. Don't quite know the detail on that yet, I don't think. Why pensioners? Why not disabled people when these are people that need to get to work and contribute to the economy?
No, I agree. Many people who get personal independence payments are in work. They use them to
They
go to work. Not
yeah.
all. It's between about 30 quid and just over 180 quid a week. It's not taxed. You get it, but some of those who will lose it will be in work and they won't be able to get out of their jobs.
No.
I don't think you can balance the books on the backs of the disabled by kicking away crutches and hurting people, which is why I think he should U-turn. If he's got a problem with the sums, and he has, because they just decided, the Treasury decided it needed to save $5 billion, so it goes to the Department of Work and Pensions. What can you do to save $5 billion? They come up with this. It's the wrong way of looking at it. If you want to reduce the benefit bill and get more people into work, that's great. Have programmes to do that. But don't take money away from people who are disabled. And anyone watching shout, yeah, I know somebody who's gaming the system. Well, you can weed those people out where it happens. But let's not pretend or even fall for the myth that people who are claiming benefits are all on the fiddle. No, they're not.
I'm sure we'll get those calls. I'm sure we'll get many other calls as well. Don't go anywhere, because that's what we're doing, taking your calls on this after the break. Should the government scrap its planned cuts to disability benefits? And later on, we're talking about electric cars. Would you buy one? I'd love to hear your thoughts, particularly if you bought one and now regret it. Get straight onto your calls. Whether the government should scrap its planned cuts to the benefit systems. I want to get your calls in right now. Hillary's in Warwickshire. Tell us, Hillary, what do you think of these cuts to benefits, particularly for disabled people?
I think it's absolutely awful because I was a nurse all my life and now I'm disabled and I have to have a carer come in the morning to the house and one in the evening. And if these were scrapped, I wouldn't be able to pay for any of it.
OK, so this is personal independence payments. That's the difference that it makes to you. What does it mean that you can do as a result?
It means that, fortunately, I have a nice family and they can do my shopping for me. But if they scrap the payments, how would I pay for what I need? And
do you know whether you will lose out? Because we're talking about reducing the number of points or increasing the number of points that you need to get over the bar to receive this payment. Have you been through that process or had a look at what they are?
Yes, I had to have somebody come and examine me and see if I was able to get this money. But if they hadn't have come to the house, I would never have got the money in the first place. So
you might have to be reassessed, or do you know already where you stand on that points ranking and whether automatically you'll lose out? Are you aware of where you are with that?
Yes, I'm aware of it. I mean, fortunately, I've got a brain and I can think about it, but I don't want it to be scrapped for anybody that is available to have it. OK, thanks for your call. The point is, Dawn and Kev, that we have seen a huge rise in the numbers of people taking these payments, in the overall bill for them since COVID. And nobody's sitting down to explain where that's come from. That can't all be from long COVID. So why is it that suddenly we're seeing this huge
explosion?
There was a significant rise in young people claiming mental health issues and why they couldn't work and they needed the payments. And actually, if you go on social media, you'll find videos advising people how to claim. You've got to answer this to that question. Now, you can tackle that. You can teach resilience. You can deal with those people saying, look, we can get you counselling so you can go to work and cope with it. But that's a very different case and dealing with those instances to the one we've just heard.
Well,
Somebody who works as a nurse and then in later life needs support. Yeah, she was there for us. We need to be there for her now.
But clearly the criteria are being abused. If what you're saying is true, that people are going online and they are finding ways around this when maybe they are not due this, so they can avoid.
I would be very happy for people, if you don't meet the criteria, you're just not to meet the criteria, you don't get the money. But they're changing the criteria so you don't qualify. That's it. It'll be some people who can't wash the lower half of their bodies and they will lose their money. I've seen cases like that. I've come across a woman who is bipolar. You're bipolar, I've experienced people who got it. Some days you're fine, other days you are not. She works. And I think that's terrific. She must have a very tolerant employer, I'm glad to say, so hats off to the employer too. But she's going to lose her money.
Yeah.
And she says she won't be able to get to work.
But the system does need to be tighter because we all admit that there are people who are swinging the lead, as we call it. And we do know, Kevin,
it's exaggerated, but if there are cases, deal with them. But this,
exactly. The system doesn't deal with them at the moment, no.
OK, let's take another call. Terry's in Dorset. Terry, do you think we're paying out too much for benefits? And do you think that actually the government's doing the right thing?
It was an organisation that helped people back into work.
Hello, Terry.
Hello, Matt. Good morning.
Yeah. Did you catch my question there? Do you think that this is the right move, or do you think we should scrap these benefit cuts?
No, you shouldn't scrap the benefit cuts. That nurse on just now, I agree with her 100%. She should get every help they can. But all the programs keep talking about disabled people. What about all the people that are on the fiddle that are not disabled at all and have never worked in their life? No one speaks about them whatsoever.
Oh, Terry, I think they're spoken about all the time, actually. Some papers are just full of it, creating the impression everybody on benefits is somehow fiddling. But this is not about taking out fiddlers, as you call them.
It's not.
This is about removing payments from people who are disabled. It's a very different proposition.
The system does need tightening up. The universal credit claim by foreign nationals has gone up by 30% recently. I mean, there's elements to be looked at here as well.
Okay.
I mean, the asylum system needs looking at.
Yeah,
we
but that's nothing. That's nothing to do. Yeah, that's nothing to do with disabilities.
Matthew, that's what your mum calls you, isn't it? But Matt, we need to save money. We need to get money from somewhere. So, like, people like our callers aren't being made to suffer. So they're not having this. Money is being wasted in various systems.
I mean, I want to look specifically at disabilities because that is where we have seen this huge explosion in numbers. And I think finding that sweet spot with getting the criteria absolutely right. You know, some people is going to say this is draconian and it's going to make disabled people poorer, genuinely disabled people poorer. And then, as you hinted at, there are some people who are going to say, well, is mental health, does that qualify? What level of mental health qualifies as a disability? I want to pick up with Terry again. Terry, where do you draw that line there? Do you think that this reshaping of the criteria is a way to tackle people that, as Dawn says, are swinging the lead?
Well, I can tell you a story, Matt, about someone swinging the leg. I worked in a shop years ago, in a supermarket years ago. There's a couple come in on a Thursday, a man and wife, never worked in their life, never.
But Terry, we can all tell these anecdotes, that we can all find these people, or we can all point fingers and assume we know what's going on in people's lives.
I'm not assuming, Matt. I'm not assuming. I know someone who worked for a organisation putting people back to work, and what they said was, if you refuse 3 jobs, then your benefits will be cut. It never worked because the government were too weak to bring it in. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people swinging their lead, and we never get to those people. The poor disabled people, we keep hitting them. That's incorrect. We need to get to the people that don't work but claim the money.
All right, Terry, these cuts will hit people who are disabled. It's not a crackdown on fraud, if you like to call it that. It's about taking money away from disabled people. Do you back those cuts or not?
No,
Yeah.
you can't. No, I don't. I'm having a go at the people that are frauding the government. I pay taxes.
I do the same.
You pay tax. You pay taxes. I pay taxes. People watching this program pay taxes, and these people in the supermarket on a Thursday, and they come out of the supermarket on their mobile phones to phone up for a taxi, and all the people watching this program, and you're on the telly now, you're all paying taxes against those two
Terry,
people.
these cuts are
who've
not
never
that.
worked in their
Terry,
life.
just to be clear, PIP is a levelling up benefit to allow people to lead normal lives and help them to get to work so that they can go to work. That's the point of PIP. Now, whether it's being applied correctly or not is a different matter, but certainly the idea is to enable disabled people to live lives that give them access to the sort of things we take for granted. You're behind that?
Yes, I'm behind that, yes.
OK, right. Thanks for your call, Terry. Let's take another call. Brad's in West Midlands. What we need to hear from is somebody that's actually in receipt of PIP and is worried whether that's going to be the case going forward. Is that you, Brad?
Yeah, that's me.
OK. Tell me about the process. Are you worried about losing PIP and what that difference that makes to you in your life?
Yes, I am, because I'm retiring on August the 25th this year, and I shall lose my ESA. Now, I've been paying for my glasses and my dental bills out of my PIP. So, PIP, sorry.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what I'm going to do.
OK.
And my symptoms are, I've got spondylosis of the spine, all the discs in my back are worn, so I'm in total pain all day. And if I bend my back, it goes on, that's it then, for all day. And I use my mobility scooter. I can go to the local shop, that's a quarter of a mile away. I couldn't walk there, and certainly couldn't walk back.
So,
And the reason why I've got depression and anxiety. I'm seeing my psychiatrist tomorrow. In 2005, my girlfriend hung herself in Dorothy Patterson's, and that took the wind out of my sails, and I ended up in Dorothy Patterson's. I was heartbroken, and that's the reason why I claim depression and anxiety. I'm not young. I'll be 66 on August the 25th. I'll become a pensioner. So I'm worried about losing that payment.
So that payment for you has made the difference to allow you, and you, as you say, you're retiring, you've been working throughout all of these things that have happened in your life, and that PIP has allowed you to lead that life, that allows you to work?
Yes. Oh, no, I can't work because of my back and my spine.
OK.
It's impossible for me.
Okay.
And I was in engineering, heavy engineering, so I couldn't do that now. Probably that's caused my back problems.
Wow. Listen, Brad, I just need to know, are you confident that you are going to lose that PIP now? You're going to lose that because of the changes that the government are talking about. You'll be assessed, and that won't be a payment you get anymore.
I'm waiting for the assessment, but it takes ages for them to assess. But they're not going to see me, they're going to do it on the phone. And I can just about get round the flat using my walker. And when I go down, I'm in a warden-controlled flat. It's called a well-being property. And they see me every time I go down the bins with my partner, Mrs. Margaret Bevan.
OK.
They see me with my walker.
I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there, Brad. You just wonder how accurate an assessment they're going to be able to carry out of Brad's situation.
And this
on
is the
his
problem,
phone.
Matt. Don't do it properly.
A note of caution, he might not lose his, but the fact he is worried and could lose it is just...
When they're
frustrating.
suffering from depression and
we have to move on. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you, Brad, and for all your calls there now.